there was a video I watched, and we'll include it in a link to the show notes. It was from Sequoia, and they were talking about it. Really had a couple of sort of threads in it that I thought would be worth picking up. And a part of the thread was around how general purpose technologies like the steam engine, became used in the economy and how that sort of triggered economic growth and so on. And a lot around specialization. And then there was a whole other section around what they see as this $10 trillion opportunity with agents to automate a huge portions of the services segment of the economy. And so wanted to just get started on that, give you guys some thoughts on that and how we can connect that for our enterprise customers. Shanti, I think I'd like to tee that up for you and just sort of get your initial take and have other folks jump in.
Yeah, I've got definitely some thoughts. I think speed-wise, this is a huge breakthrough in terms of how quickly people are adopting new technology and how quickly things are changing. It's changing daily. Our capabilities are jumping daily too. It's not this linear progression, but what we can do today could be very different than what we were able to do yesterday. So in that sense, I think the Industrial Revolution is a good analogy, and we might even be moving faster. 10 trillion, I think, is a number, and the quantitative person inside of me says, how did they come up with that? There's a very ballpark estimation. Some people call it McKinsey math that goes on behind that type of number, but I think it'll be big. I don't know that we can actually quantify it right now, but I think it's a big deal. And we're going to see a lot of different places where AI is going to be able to automate some processes that we didn't think could be automated, and other places where it's being shoehorned in and shouldn't be.
I think I think the math boils from, right, just looking at labor, right?
What the service economy. Yeah.
Service economy, what is it worth versus the sort of software, SaaS economy. So the numbers can get big, but obviously it implies very broad adoption across lots of sectors. And so, the number is big, as I think everybody acknowledges. I think the path to get there, though, is very uneven because, so look, in software, we're using a ton, right? Software development, we're using a ton of agents. I was checking on our bill, say, okay, is our bill climbing? Are we actually seeing adoption in a positive sense, right? I want to see it rising. We have lots of folks engaging. But it's also hard to point a finger at. People can show you, okay, I did this more productively. Are you shipping features faster at the end of the day? Are you actually able to get across the goal line? We've talked about this before. That's much harder math, right? It's much harder to say that these specific features were shipped in a 10x sort of way. What I feel like what we're seeing is 10x the number of really good prototypes of things. And then we get to pick and choose what we invest in more. And then, of course, there are areas where I would say, here's a utility or a process that was kind of automated. So in software development, I think the entire cycle, there are places where we're seeing productivity gains, but there's still bottlenecks in spots that are, as long as there's human beings that have to do certain things, whether it's, you need the right taste for the thing or the right judgment call, there's still some impedance to getting this sort of 10x output on overall productivity. And I think the main point from the industrial age in this was it took a long time to get this right. Like, just because you had a steam power didn't mean that all of a sudden things were rolling off the factory floor. So we could be critical of, the last 12 months, but give this 10 years. I mean, who knows how far this gets, in that time.
Will you buy, so this is the $10 trillion number. It's a big number. Are you buying the idea that a lot of work will be automated? The work of BPO companies, the work of agencies, and so on.
Yeah, seems inevitable in some, but maybe not as fast as some of those trajectories show. That's really the hard part is, are we really on, when is this exponential curve? How does it really hit productivity versus, I could claim that, 50% of my code base was written by AI. Sure, but I have to review that code base and I have to tell it, don't do it this way. And it outputted 100 more lines of code than I wanted it to, that I then told it to, do in a different way. And so, like, it's not a one-for-one measure, I guess, to the way I would think of.
And I think I feel like there's a limit on what these organizations can absorb. I talk to a lot of companies and I ask them about, what are you guys doing? And they'll say, oh, we've got a ChatGPT enterprise license, which is great, but it gets started, but it's a far cry from automating your accounts receivable process.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of on like especially like the marketing side of things, their ability to move quickly by generating like boilerplate content and then make small edits to it is really improving. So things that would take 2
Yeah.
weeks, 3 weeks and a team of people are now being done with 1 to 2 people and they're being done in a day.